At the time, the Pigeon affair overtook him, unhinging his life from one day to the next. Jonathan Noel, a security bank at a bank in Paris, already past 50, could look back over a good 20-year period of total uneventfulness and would never have thought anything of importance could ever overtake him again, other than death someday. And that was perfectly all right with him, for he was not fond of events, and he hated outright those that rattled his inner equilibrium and made a muddle of the external arrangements of life. The majority of such events lay, thank God, far back in the dim, remote years of his childhood and youth, which he no longer had any desire whatever to recall. And when he did, then only was the greatest aversion. On a summer afternoon in July 1942, as he was returning home after fishing, there had been a thunderstorm that day with heavy rains after a long heat wave. On the way home, he had taken off his shoes, had walked along the warm, wet asphalt with bare feet and splashed through the puddles. An indescribable delight. He had come home from fishing then and had run into the kitchen expecting to find his mother there cooking. And his mother was nowhere to be seen. All that was to be seen was her apron hanging over the back of the chair. His mother was gone. They had taken her away off to the east, and no one ever came back from there.
His mother was gone. His mother was gone. His mother was.
No one ever came back from the east. No one ever came back from the east. Jonathan Noel came to the conclusion that you cannot depend on strangers, and that you can live in peace only if you keep them at arm's length.
And all that was to be seen was her apron hanging over the back of her chair.
That was the state of things when, in August 1984, on a Friday morning, the affair with the Pigeon occurred.
I had almost set foot across the threshold, had already raised my foot, my left. My leg was in the act of stepping when I saw it. It was crouched there with red taloned feet on the oxblood tiles of the hall and in sleek blue-grey plumage. The pigeon. It had laid its head to one side and was glaring at me with its left eye. This eye, a small circular disc, brown with a black center, was dreadful to behold. It was like a button sewn on to the feathers of the head, lashless, browless, quite naked, turned quite shamelessly to the world and monstrously open. At the same time, however, there was something guarded and devious in that eye. And yet, likewise, it seemed to be neither open nor guarded, but rather quite simply lifeless. Like the lens of a camera that swallows all external light and allows nothing to shine back out of its interior. No luster, no shimmer, no thing of anything alive lay in that eye. A brief jolt went through its body, and at the same time the two lids snapped together over its eye, one from below, one from above. Not real lids either, more like some kind of rubbery flaps that swallowed up the eye like two lips emerging from nowhere. It was an eye without sight, and it glared at me.
It was an eye without sight. It was an eye without sight. It was an eye without sight. And it glared at
Jonathan! His first thought is that he would suffer a heart attack, or a stroke, or at least blackout. But nothing of that sort occurred. No, instead, a riotous mass of the most random terrors whirled about in his brain like a swarm of black ravens. And in his head there was a screaming and a fluttering, and it croaked.
You've had it! You will die, Jonathan! Your whole life has been a lie! You've been upended by a pigeon! A pigeon! A pigeon! Oh, I must kill it. But I can't kill it. I can't kill a fly. Oh, yes, a fly I can manage. Or a mosquito. Or a little bug. But never something warm-blooded. Some warm-blooded creature like a pigeon that weighs a pound. I'd gun down a human being first. Bang, bang. That fast. Just leaves a little hole, about a quarter of an inch thick. That's clean and it's permissible. Article 1 of the regulations for armed security personnel. It's required, in fact. Not a soul blames you if you shoot down a person. Just the opposite. But a pigeon? How do you shoot down a pigeon? It flutters around, the pigeon does, so you can easily miss. It's a gross misdemeanor to shoot at a pigeon. It's forbidden. That leads to confiscation of your service weapon, to loss of your job. You end up in prison if you shoot at a pigeon. I can't kill it. But I can't live with it either. No human being can go on living in the same house with a pigeon. A pigeon is the epitome of chaos and anarchy. A pigeon that whizzes around unpredictably, that sets its claws in you, that picks at your eyes. A pigeon that never stops soiling and spreading the filth and havoc of bacteria and meningitis virus. That doesn't stay alone. One pigeon lures other pigeons. That leads to sexual intercourse. And they breed at a frantic pace. A host of pigeons will lay siege. I won't be able to leave my room. We'll have to starve. We'll have to suffocate in my own excrement. We'll have to throw myself out the window and lie there smashed on the pavement. No, I'm too much of a coward. I'll stay locked up in my room and scream for help! Scream for the fire brigade! For them to come with ladders and rescue me from a pigeon! From a pigeon!
He gathered himself and his things and he made his escape. The pigeon extracted itself from the dark corner, took a few rapid, wobbling steps forward, and then settled back down again. Jonathan turned away, his flesh creeping, and in that moment he was certain he would never be able to return. You are hopeless and a lost man. You are hopeless and a lost man. In the back courtyard, he met the concierge.
Yes, Monsieur Noel.
Madame, there is a bird at the door to my room. Madame, it is a pigeon.
And where did the pigeon come from?
I don't know.
Well, someone will simply have to chase the pigeon off again.
Yes?
Someone will simply have to chase the pigeon off again. Someone will simply have to chase the pigeon off again. Jonathan,
Can you chase the pigeon off?
Jonathan,
Can you chase the pigeon off? Jonathan took up his post at the bank punctually at 8:15. For 30 years now. From 9 o'clock in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. And from 2:30 in the afternoon until 5:30 in the evening, his duties had consisted of nothing more than Jonathan's either standing stock still in the doorway, or at most patrolling back and forth in measured steps along the lowest 3 marble steps.
By the time I retire, I will have spent 75,000 hours standing on these 3 marble steps. I will be the one person to have stood the longest in one place, in all Paris, perhaps in all France.
But today, everything was different. It was as if the air were wavering in the heat today, and all the women seemed to be wearing garish clothes today. They blazed past like flames. Everything quivered.
It's my eyes. I've turned short-sighted during the night. I need glasses. Maybe what I'm suffering from isn't classic short-sightedness at all, but something that could in fact no longer be cured by glasses. A cataract. Glaucoma. A torn retina. Cancer of the eye. A tumor in my brain pressing down on my optic nerve.
He was so very busy with this dreadful thought that he failed to notice the arrival of Monsieur Roudel's black limousine.
You missed Monsieur Roudel's limousine. You missed Monsieur Roudel's limousine. Shit! Shit! Shit!
Sweat was running in streams from his brow, and for a few seconds he closed his eyes. He felt so very ashamed of himself.
What a fool! What an idiot!
Shit! 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 During the midday break, he walked over to the small park in front of the Bon Marché department store. He sat down on a bench and ate. 2 benches away squatted a clochard, his rear turned towards Jonathan, totally exposed.
What could be more miserable than having to bear your rear end in public and shit in the street? And in the city, with its teeming masses, where it's never really dark. In the city, nothing but a good lock and bolt helps you distance yourself from other people. If I could not close the door behind me to take a shit in the city, even if it was just the door to a shared toilet, if this one most essential freedom was taken from me, the freedom, that is, to withdraw from other people when necessity calls, then all other freedoms are worthless. Then life has no more meaning. Then it is better to be dead. You live in the street.
Shit in the
Shit in the street.
You
live in the street.
You live in the
You
street.
shit in the street. You live in the street. You shit in the street. You live in the shit.
You live in the
You shit
shit.
in the live. You live in the shit. You live in the streets. There was an ugly noise. A loud rip. And across the skin of his left thigh, he felt the stroke of a draft that bespoke an unchecked invasion of air from the outside. In point of fact, it seemed to him as if he had been wounded, as if the gaping hole was not just in his trousers, but in his own flesh.
You must take action at once. You must do something right away to close up this hole, or you are lost.
And even as he asked himself what action he should take, he knew the answer.
The grocery department of the Bon Marché.
This-
The seamstress.
This woman would help him.
She has to help me.
May I help you?
There is a hole, madame.
Madame Topel. Let the glance of her giant eyes wander down Jonathan to find the hole at his thigh and bend forward to inspect it.
Well?
No problem. We may have to put a little seam underneath and a little seam. Another seam will show.
But that makes no difference at all. A little seam makes no difference at all. Who would ever look at such an obscure spot? So, you can help me, madame. You can take care of it.
No problem.
Oh, thank you, madame. You have saved me great embarrassment. I have only 10 minutes left. Can you take care of it right away? I mean, here, now, without delay.
Yes, monsieur. You bring your trousers in on Friday, and they'll be ready for you in 3 weeks.
In 3 weeks?
Yes, monsieur. In 3 weeks.
Cannot depend on people. Trousers will be ready.
In 3 short weeks.
In 3 whole weeks?
Trousers will be ready. Cannot depend on people. Trousers will be ready.
In 3 short weeks.
In 3 weeks!
Trousers will be ready.
He went back to work. To cover the taped spot on his thigh, he was forced to set his legs in the straddle position he hated. And he noticed how this caused his spine to arch out and his neck to sink down between his shoulders. His clothes stuck to him. He did not want to scratch. No, he wanted to suffer now. The self-loathing dammed up inside him, spilled out and gushed over. Gushed out of glaring eyes that grew grimmer, angrier beneath the brim of his cap.
Filthy pigs! Hooligans! Good-for-nothing, stupid young waiters, babbling and grinning and smirking. Doltish tourists, flitting about dressed in their summer blouses and straw hats and sunglasses, guzzling overpriced drinks to refresh themselves, while other people earned a living by the sweat of their brow, standing. And the drivers in their stinking tin crates, fouling the air. Doesn't it stink badly enough already? Doesn't the blazing heat from up there make things hot enough? You have to use the last bit of breathable air, suck it into your engines, burn it up, and blow it back out again, mixed with poison and soot and hot fumes, into the noses of respectable citizens. I ought to wipe you out. Yes, I should. Every single one of you. Get rid of you. Oh, I could pull out my pistol and let loose right into the coffee shop. Smack through its glass windows till there was nothing but crashing and tinkling. Right into the middle of the ruck of cars. Or into the air. Yes, into the heavens, into the hot sky, into the horrible, oppressive, miserable pigeon blue-grey sky. Bursting it, sending the leaden lid smashing down and pulverizing everything, burying all of it, the whole miserable, loud, stinking world.
But then, as he returned to his fixed position, this flame of anger, this last flash of individuality, died within him.
Dead round windows, his eyes no longer his own. Monsieur Noel with no
He found a small hotel. He demanded their cheapest room. He took it, sight unseen. The hotel room was even smaller than his room. The room had the outline of a coffin, nor was it much roomier than a coffin.
I will kill myself tomorrow.
Monsieur
That night, there was a thunderstorm.
This isn't my room. Not on your life. In my room, the window is at the foot of the bed, not so high up towards the ceiling. It isn't my room at my uncle's house. No. It's the cellar, yes. I'm in the cellar at my parents' house. I'm just a child. I only dreamed I grew up to be a disgusting old god in Paris. Outside is war. I'm trapped. Buried. Forgotten. Why don't they come? Why don't they rescue me? Where are the other people? My God, where are the other people? I simply cannot live without other people.
In that moment of wanting to scream, he received an answer. He heard a noise. He recognized it as the rush of rain. At that, the room fell back into place. He walked out into the open air. With every step, his wet soles splashed against the wet asphalt. He splashed diligently through the puddles. He splashed right through the middle of them. It was delightful. He loved making this childish little mess. It was like some great freedom had been restored to him. He returned to his building. He runs up the stairs to his room. He steps out into the hall. The pigeon had vanished.
The pigeon has vanished.
Not a feather, not a wisp of down was left trembling on the red tiles.
Not a